Just how would you assess your offense for first game, first showing?
You know what? We did a lot of good things out there. For the most part, one of our first things we're always talking about is taking care of the football. We had a fumble on that 2-minute drive, ended up not costing us. Defense came back and played some complimentary football, got the scoop and score and picked us up there. But other than that, we took care of the ball pretty well. Still always got to concentrate on that and tighten it up. Made a strong effort to run the football. We felt pretty good about that, ran it efficiently on first and second down, and made some big plays when we needed to.
So how would you assess how Art handled that situation and how he played throughout the game?
You know what? Art handled it like I really expect backup quarterbacks to handle it. I mean, that's kind of how we approach it at all of our positions. You know, if somebody goes down, which happens in football, it's next guy up. And Art was prepared. We talked about it all the way through the summer, camp, and I told the quarterbacks at least once a week, you know, I said, hey, there's 5 guys in here. Everybody's 1, 2, and 3 snaps away from playing. Art was 1 snap away, and his number was called, and he went in there and played like we thought he would.
I saw some shuffling at the right guard position between Alex and Jack. What were you looking for that combination there?
Just we've got 6 to 7 guys that we feel like can play and win football games for us in the Big Ten, and we're gonna play them at any time we can right there. So we'll be mixing in some guards at times, some tackles, and getting those guys in the game.
It looked like a jumbo package with Julian out there at times. What look does that give you guys?
What that does, it takes a tight end out of the game. If we're in a 12 personnel, it takes one of the tight ends out. We bring Pearl in at that tight end position, get a little bit bigger right there for certain plays, and give the defense some different looks.
Tony, can I ask you about the pass to Deuce? Is he still in your room, like as a quarterback?
Deuce is spending his time right now in the wide receiver room. We could bring Deuce back if we needed to right now, but he's got a very special skill set that could make him a special player outside someday. And so he's learning the position right now, but we're trying to make sure that we've got some plays where he can go in and execute. And that was one of his plays this week, and he went in and did a great job.
Can you walk me through how that transpired throughout camp, of you talking with Coach Lee and the rest of the offensive staff about, hey, we need to get him on the field at some point because of the kind of athlete he is? Well,
just with his speed through spring ball and through the summer, I mean, we want to figure out a way to get Deuce on the field, but it's not much different than what happened with Isaiah a little bit. If the player's not comfortable with it or doesn't want to do it or isn't excited about it, it's not going to happen. So, you know, like Isaiah, we didn't push anything there, and now he's in a very good position. He's super excited. Deuce just took a little bit longer for him to maybe find a spot and get in there, and he still could play quarterback someday. But right now he's able to go out there and get on the field and help our team at wide receiver, and he's got a skill set that really, you know, helps him out there.
You gave up 3 sacks early, I think first 18 minutes, 3 sacks, then none the rest of the game. Did you adjust to that? Did you change your protections, or was that just first game jitters?
No, I mean, we had a bad little stint right there. You know, I mean, Nebraska's got some really good defensive linemen now. They're big, they're strong, and they're long. And if there's somewhere that we're not, you know, that it hurts us a little bit is at our guard position at times. We're not as long as we'd like to be. And those guys, you know, had a few plays right there. I mean, the other team's on scholarship too, and their coaches get paid, and those guys made some plays out there, and they just happened to pile it up in a little 4 or 5 play series right there.
Is that a discussion as a staff of like, hey, we got to do something, or is it like, stick with what we have, we're going to get our protections right?
No, in that instance, we felt okay with what we were doing. We were getting not what I call overmatched, but just some guys, some big, strong guys made some plays. It happens in college football. We got to make sure that those plays don't turn into critical error plays. And one of them, you know, we ended up having to have a quarterback come out of the game, so that probably hurt us more than anything.
Tony, Isaiah had about almost 10 touches. What was the process of trying to put together, you know, how we get him the ball? Because you got him the ball in so many different ways.
Well, Isaiah's a special talent. We want to try and get him the ball as much as we can. You know, our offense is able to get that position, the ball naturally anyways, but we also are going to have some plays that we know when I call these plays, where he's at, whether he's in the slot or an outside receiver position, we know that he's going to get his touches right there.
What does he do for your offense now that, say, UTSA knows that, you know, you're going to move him all over the place?
I just think, you know, you got to look at it from the defensive personnel. You got to say they've got a slot receiver that looks like he has special talent. He's got really good hands. He's fluid. He can make people miss, and he's got speed, and you got to count for that on every snap.
Tony, with all the talk about Brandon and him growing in his leadership, how did the guys respond to Art out there, and what's next steps for him?
For Art?
Yeah.
You know what, where Art's a little bit different than BP is Art has a big personality, you know, so, you know, the team loves BP, he's our starting quarterback, but when he went down, the next guy up, Art came in, he's got a very strong personality in there. You know, the guys knew from what he had done in camp and from the way that he carries himself, they expected him to come in and play well, and that's what he did, and you know, everybody was fired up about it. Art did a good job.
How much could you tell the experience of having been a starter in the Big Ten was playing out there for him?
I mean, when Art went in there, and even when we got him in camp, you could tell that he'd played Big Ten football. He'd played in Power 5. He could handle himself. He'd go in the huddle. It was not a problem. It wasn't too big for him.
What did you make of the way you got a bunch of running backs in there? What did you make of the way they performed, and kind of what was the thought process of shuffling them around?
We were happy with the running backs. They all played well. They had their plays. You know, we're going to need all those running backs. They might not all play evenly throughout a game, but to have 5 running backs that we feel like can go in a football game and win for us at this level, I think is a blessing. And you know, because you can go down to a running back or 2 in a heartbeat. So very excited where those guys are at.
A lot of carries for Mike. What have you kind of learned about Mike since he got back to campus and obviously endeared himself to 14, 15 carries?
He's a good football player. He takes care of the football. He hammers the line of scrimmage, hits the hole, and when the big plays are there, he picks it up. I mean, you can trust him as a back. He's a solid running back that's got some good speed.
Coach, UTSA this week, what have you seen on film about their defense that might present some challenges for you?
You know, their strongest position is probably up front, but then you can't overlook his new numbers, number 0, his safety on the weak side, very good player coming downhill. They're 3 interior linemen. They give us a unique, you know, they're a 3-4 defense that stays in a 3-4 defense about 90% of the time. So that's a unique challenge for us that we're going to have to work hard on this week to get adjusted to that and be ready for that. Their nose guard's a very good player up front. Number 2, the outside linebacker, I mean, they're strong. They're 11 returning starters.
Coach, obviously football is a lot about momentum and kind of carrying it over. How important is it to get off on the right foot and continue it going this week with guys like Art and the rest of the offense?
You know, I think it's big, but the most important thing for us this week is I've been doing this a lot of years. A lot of people have made this statement that the biggest improvement comes from week 1 to week 2, and it truly does over the years I've been coaching. And we got to go out there and clean up some of the things that we did wrong to make sure it doesn't happen again, and that'll give us the best chance to be successful this Saturday.
Tony, knowing things could change throughout the course of the season, do you feel comfortable telling me if something had happened to Art on Saturday, who was next in line?
Right now, the next guy up would be Ryan Johnson, but we've also got Matt Robinson, and they're very close right there. So to have what I consider 4 guys that I could put in a football game and feel like we could go out and function as an offense is very good, because I've been in situations before where I felt like my backup probably couldn't go in there and function at the level we needed to.
What do you think about Luke Ford and his ability to kind of just make some plays there on Saturday?
I mean, Luke Ford's got big-time God-given ability. I mean, he's long, he's tall, he's strong, he can run. He's the kind of guy you get the ball in his hands. He's a mismatch on linebackers. I mean, he's the kind of guy you expect to make big plays. And Luke did, you know, he went in there and did what we expected him to do.
What has Ryan shown you since you've gotten him in the summer from transferring from Michigan or Northern Michigan?
You know what? He's got good size. He's got strong arm, quick release. He's a quick learner, makes good decisions. I mean, we're super fortunate to have Ryan.
Your first game calling, obviously the offense here at Illinois. What did you think of the atmosphere here at Memorial Stadium?
You know what? I thought it was awesome. Kudos out and to the fans, and especially the student section down there. But it was a big time atmosphere. First game of the year, back after a crazy year of COVID last year. I mean, when we came in through Grange Grove and everything, I mean, I can't tell you how excited I was. That was awesome.
Just as efficient as Art was, what maybe kind of propelled that, where he goes 12-15 and a couple touchdowns?
You know what? One of our goals for the week at the quarterback position, number 1 goal was make good decisions with the football. Art was locked in on it, just like BP was, and he went out there and executed the game plan. I mean, I give him credit. He did a good job.
I mean, he threw the pick that got called back and got drilled on that play. Just, Coach Billman talked about how he kind of responded to that, but what did you see? He took a
It was a bad decision by Art to throw the ball. It was the worst decision of the day, and then he took a bad hit, which ended up being a penalty, which was fortunate for us. But he got right back up and bounced in there and was ready to go.
Tony, circling back to some shuffling that was going on of players on the right side of the line, has that been something that's you've often had in your time, where maybe you don't have the same 5, or maybe it's a package, or you see that all the time in defensive lines, right? Is that's something that you've seen a lot in your career.
I mean, up front on the offensive line, if you've got a definitive 5 guys that are the starters without a doubt, there's nobody that's close to them. That's typically how you go with those 5 guys right there. But I've been part of a lot of offenses where you've got either a 6th and a 7th guy, and you make sure that they get in and they're going to get their 1 or 2 series a game. And you've got those guys. You're getting them. They might be young guys. You're getting experience. It just might be guys you need to get in there and make sure that they get some snaps. But if we've got 6 or 7 guys, we're going to play them.
Tony, you had an 8-minute drive to open up the third quarter. What did you like most about that drive?
Just the offensive line, the running backs. We talk a lot about the dirty yards in the running game. We call them the dirty 4. You know, that's our number 1 priority, to pick up 4 yards right there on all of our runs. We were efficient. We didn't go backwards. I mean, that was a huge drive for us. Our best drive in the game. I think we took up almost 7 minutes, topped it off with a touchdown. We were able to double dip on Nebraska from the first half to the second half, and that was a huge part of the game. I give a lot of credit to our O-line out there.
And as a play caller,
One more question.
as a play caller, after that touchdown, you get the ball back short field. Is that when you thought to go to that play? Do you want to step on the throat?
You're talking about with Deuce?
Yes, with Deuce. As
You know
get
what,
to
when we had an
midfield.
opportunity, that was going to be about a midfield play for us, and we happened to be there. It was a P and 10, and it felt like a good time to use it and put him in there. And they actually had a defense that was pretty good for it right there, and he was able to beat the safety because they sent the corner blitz on it.